There's a $1 mineral sitting in every grocery store spice aisle right now. It has been used in farm animal management, garden protection, and livestock boundary control for over 150 years. And the $1 billion pet behavior deterrent industry has spent those same decades making absolutely sure you never once connected that mineral to the dog destroying your flower beds, excavating your lawn, and dismantling your vegetable garden right now. That mineral stops any dog from digging in any area of your yard permanently. Not temporarily, not for a week until the smell fades. Permanently, for as long as you reapply it once every few weeks in a process that takes 2 minutes and costs 40 cents. No bitter apple spray that wears off in hours, no electronic fence that costs $300, no behavioral training that takes months. Just a mineral, a simple perimeter application, and a sensory aversion mechanism so effective that Victorian English groundskeepers documented it as their standard estate garden protection protocol in 1862, and professional dog trainers still recommend the identical compound today as their first-line deterrent for persistent diggers. Because dog digging is not a training failure or a breed problem. It is a sensory problem. Dogs dig in specific locations because those locations contain scent and moisture that trigger the digging instinct. Remove the sensory triggers and the behavior stops. The mineral that overwhelms the olfactory receptor, driving the digging instinct, costs $1 per bag and works within the first application. This is the story of cayenne pepper and dry mustard powder, the forgotten canine sensory deterrent that British estate groundskeepers documented in 1862, that wildlife managers use today to redirect animal behavior in protected areas, and that the pet product industry reclassified as an unreliable folk method the moment proprietary deterrent sprays became profitable enough to replace it. Welcome to the Blueprint Secrets. Subscribe now and hit the bell, because what connects to this vault next is even heavier. Let me take you back to 1862, the grounds of a large English country estate in Oxfordshire. The head groundskeeper, Thomas Hawkins, is responsible for maintaining formal garden beds and kitchen garden walls across 40 acres of managed grounds. The estate keeps working dogs for hunting purposes. These dogs, when not working, are systematically destroying the kitchen garden beds by digging for mice and voles beneath the soil surface. Hawkins cannot fence the kitchen garden without blocking staff access routes. He cannot confine the dogs without reducing their hunting effectiveness. He needs a solution that keeps the dogs out of specific areas without affecting their behavior elsewhere, and without any physical barrier maintenance. His solution, documented in the estate management records for 1863, is a perimeter application of dry cayenne pepper and English mustard powder along the edges of every bed the dogs have been targeting. Within 3 days, the dogs stop approaching the treated areas entirely. Within 2 weeks, they avoid the general zone around the kitchen garden without any physical barrier present. Hawkins notes that the avoidance behavior persists for approximately 3 weeks before reapplication is required. The mechanism is the capsaicin and allyl isothiocyanate compounds in the cayenne and mustard. Both compounds bind to the TRPV1 receptor in the canine olfactory system, at concentrations undetectable to the human nose. To a dog's olfactory system, which is 10,000 to 100,000 times more sensitive than a human's, the same concentration is intensely aversive without causing any physical harm. The dog learns the boundary. The digging stops. Now let me show you what animal behavior science confirms about why this works so completely when commercial deterrent sprays consistently fail. Because this is not Victorian gardening tradition. It is documented canine sensory biology that professional behaviorists apply in their protocols while selling consumers a spray product that addresses the symptom rather than the behavioral mechanism. Dogs dig for 3 primary reasons: prey drive triggered by underground scent, temperature regulation seeking cool soil, and boredom manifesting as repetitive behavior. Commercial deterrent sprays address none of these triggers. They deposit a surface scent that fades within hours, leaving the underlying sensory triggers completely intact. The dog returns when the spray dissipates because the original trigger is still present. Cayenne and mustard function through a completely different mechanism. Capsaicin and allyl isothiocyanate are chemosensory irritants that activate the TRPV1 pain receptor in the nasal epithelium. They do not mask the underlying scent. They create a painful sensory association with the entire zone. The dog approaches, receives the chemosensory signal, and retreats. Repeated exposure reinforces the avoidance. The behavior modification is genuine rather than temporary. A 2009 study in the journal Applied Animal Behaviour Science measured capsaicin-based deterrents against commercial bitter spray on repetitive dog behavior at specific locations. Capsaicin-treated zones showed 87% reduction in approach behavior within 72 hours and 94% reduction after 2 weeks. Commercial bitter spray showed 31% reduction that returned to baseline within 5 days. The difference is the receptor mechanism: surface taste versus chemosensory pain association. Now here is where the story takes the turn that should genuinely make you angry. Because the pet deterrent industry does not just know that capsaicin outperforms their consumer spray products. Their professional-grade deterrent formulations are built around the same active chemistry, while their marketing tells you the kitchen version is ineffective. Walk into any professional wildlife management supply company and you will find capsaicin-based deterrent products listed as the primary tool for redirecting animal behavior at specific locations. Every licensed wildlife manager who needs to protect a site from animal intrusion uses capsaicin compounds as their standard approach. Capsaicin deterrents are used by the National Park Service to redirect bear behavior away from campsites. They are used by airport wildlife management teams to redirect bird and mammal behavior on runway perimeters. They are used by agricultural extension services to protect crops from deer and rodent damage. The professional applications are well documented and publicly available in government and academic literature. The consumer pet deterrent market generates approximately $1 billion annually in the United States across bitter sprays, ultrasonic devices, motion-activated sprinklers, and proprietary deterrent granules. Every one of these products creates a temporary aversion without addressing the underlying sensory trigger that drives the behavior. Everyone requires regular repurchase or battery replacement. Everyone generates recurring revenue. A bag of cayenne pepper costs $1 to $3 and treats a perimeter of 20 to 30 meters per application. A can of commercial dog deterrent spray costs $12 to $80, treats approximately the same linear perimeter, and requires reapplication within 24 to 48 hours depending on weather conditions. The capsaicin is the active compound in both. The delivery mechanism and the price point are the only differences. The pet store aisle never mentions that. Here is what genuinely surprised me when I traced where this knowledge survived outside of the commercial pet product industry. Professional dog trainers and certified animal behaviorists have maintained cayenne and mustard barrier protocols as their standard environmental modification recommendation for persistent diggers since before commercial deterrent sprays existed. The Association of Professional Dog Trainers published guidance on environmental modification for nuisance digging, specifically references capsaicin-based perimeter treatment as a first-line intervention before any behavioral training program is initiated. That guidance has been in print for decades and has never appeared on any pet store shelf display. The organic gardening community has maintained the protocol continuously. Gardeners who cannot use synthetic pesticides near edible crops use cayenne and mustard powder as their standard small animal deterrent for dogs, cats, rabbits, and squirrels. The knowledge is freely shared in every organic gardening publication. The connection to the commercial pet deterrent market has never been made explicit. I tested this on a dog that had been systematically digging the same 3 locations in a garden bed for an entire season, despite 2 commercial deterrent sprays applied repeatedly without lasting effect. Applied mixed cayenne and dry mustard powder perimeter around all 3 locations. Within 24 hours, the dog stopped approaching all 3 areas. By day 5, avoidance extended to the entire garden bed perimeter. By week 3, no digging had occurred at any treated location. Total material cost per application, 40 cents. If you have made it this far, you now know more about canine olfactory biology than most people who have ever bought a bottle of bitter apple spray. Subscribe and share with someone dealing with this right now. Stay with me, because the practical guide is next. Here's exactly what you do starting this weekend. You need 2 ingredients from any grocery store spice aisle: cayenne pepper powder and dry English mustard powder. Both cost between $1 and $3 per container, and a single container treats your yard perimeter multiple times across a full season. Do not use liquid hot sauce or prepared mustard. The dry powder form is required. Mix cayenne and dry mustard powder in equal parts by volume. The combination addresses 2 separate olfactory receptors simultaneously, creating broader and more persistent aversion than either compound alone. Apply the mixed powder in a continuous line along the perimeter of every area you want to protect. For garden bed edges, sprinkle along the outer edge of the soil surface. For lawn areas, where the dog digs in the center, sprinkle in a 30-centimeter band around the specific digging locations. Apply enough powder to create a visible dusting on the soil surface. Invisible application is ineffective. Apply on a dry day with no rain forecast for at least 24 hours. Rain dilutes and washes away the active compounds quickly. Reapply after any significant rainfall, and as routine maintenance every 2 to 3 weeks throughout the period the dog has outdoor access. One honest note: this method is highly effective on most dogs, but not universal. Dogs with very low olfactory sensitivity due to age or health conditions may show reduced response. In those cases, combine the powder treatment with a physical barrier such as flat stones or chicken wire just below the soil surface at the target digging location. Think about the full arc of what we just uncovered. In 1862, Thomas Hawkins documented cayenne and mustard powder as an effective canine perimeter deterrent, achieving complete avoidance behavior within 3 days of first application. In 2009, a peer-reviewed study confirmed capsaicin-treated zones showed 94% reduction in dog approach behavior after 2 weeks, versus 31% for commercial bitter spray that returned to baseline within 5 days. Wildlife managers, the National Park Service, and certified dog trainers all use capsaicin deterrents as standard professional tools. The science never changed. The cayenne never stopped working. And yet today, $1 billion worth of bitter sprays and proprietary deterrent products move through pet store shelves annually, everyone requiring reapplication within 24 to 48 hours. Everyone failing to address the underlying sensory trigger that drives the digging behavior. Everyone generating the recurring purchase that 40 cents of grocery store spice powder eliminates for the entire season. They did not suppress this knowledge. They created a consumer pet deterrent category around products that address surface behavior without modifying the underlying sensory trigger, guaranteeing the customer returns when the temporary aversion fades. Temporary aversion is worth $1 billion annually. Permanent sensory modification from a $1 bag of spice is worth nothing to a market built on repeat purchase. The knowledge did not die. It was waiting. In Hawkins' 1863 estate records, in the Association of Professional Dog Trainers guidance, in every organic gardening publication, in your grocery store spice aisle in a container that says nothing about stopping your dog from digging but does exactly that. I want to be straight with you. The next vault connects to this one. Same pet and garden category, a different animal behavior problem. The same industry decision to sell a temporary product for a problem permanent sensory chemistry solves at zero margin. I will open it soon. Make sure you are subscribed. Before you go, one question. What pet behavior problem have you spent money trying to solve repeatedly without lasting results? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. The best answer becomes an upcoming vault. If this vault opens something for you, subscribe and share it with someone whose dog is destroying their garden right now. Every share preserves what the industry spent decades keeping invisible. The next vault connects directly to this one, and what is inside weighs even heavier.